Big thanks to all the members for directly supporting my content here on the platform. And remember, if you want to support as well, the missile knows where the join button is at all times. Hello pilots, how you doing? I'm doing great. For today's video, we've got the Rafale, a super controversial jet. Depending on who you ask in the game, people either love it or hate it. And you? Which side are you on? Tell me why down below. I want to hear what you think. As we know, the Rafale showed up far from fully developed, and that made it go through a lot of nerfs and buffs, from the electronics to the flight model. The latest nerfs hit its flight model, which made the Rafale lose a big chunk of that insane maneuverability it had, turning it from a unicorn into a horse. So now it's possible for a bunch of different jets to win duels against it more easily. But how far does that easily go? Is it actually easy? That's the tricky part to talk about, and it's what I see most people struggle to understand. For top tier to feel good and have a smooth gameplay flow, missiles need to be balanced, consistent, and predictable first. That's how it is right now. If you get used to notching and bleeding missile energy, everything gets simpler and way more fun than just having a missile that's a guaranteed kill the moment you launch it. As a platform and as a package, Rafale is so far above the average jet that it makes playing it easy and super comfy. Even if you spend a whole match making mistakes, you rarely get punished. Rafale has the best short-range fight in the game because of how the MICA works. Inside 18 kilometers, if it comes down to missiles, the Rafale is going to stomp everyone. It also performs well enough to be basically immortal in BVR, since missiles almost never reach you. Everything in top-tier dynamics right now favor Rafale, which to me gets unfair and frustrating for anyone not playing France. What really bothers me about the Rafale is the electronic advantage the MICA gets. When I said almost all Fox 3s were balanced, there was one missile that slips the rule, and that's the MICA. Snail ended up modeling it in a way that, in theory, it's much harder to evade a MICA than other missiles. Even when you notch, sometimes the missile reconnects like chewing gum, because of its maneuverability and other tech the game emulates as a whole, like data link, IOG, and so on. That artificially turns the MICA into the most effective missile in the game. I don't know what excuse they used for only the MICA to have this electronic benefit that makes it so strong, since we also had other off-meta missiles like Darby and the Japanese domestic missile, carried by platforms sometimes way worse than the Rafale. Even with below average performance for top-tier dynamics, you could still pull good results by playing to what the platform and weapons demanded, because the warheads were balanced against each other. This whole situation is basically what's giving France a crazy higher win rate compared to other nations. It's not because French players suddenly got way better overnight. It's the same people who also play Germany, USA, Great Britain, and so on. But tell me, did you already know all that? Alright, now let's get to the real action. Let's take a closer look with some strategy and see how this jet is doing. To start, I'm gonna keep a classic positioning, which I think most of you prefer. Basically, play safer, wait for the fur balls, and try to stick closer to the team. I don't plan to cut the positioning part, so if you want to jump straight to the action, the time will be marked on the video timeline. Alright, like the radar shows, I'm pushing perpendicular to the bandits, but since I'm still far, there's no hard rule on what you can or can't do. You can just fly straight, then make an aggressive defensive circle after. Just keep in mind, don't die like a loaf to an 120 C5. Now that I've got visual and radar cue that missiles are coming my way, I'm already starting a solid defense to set up new positions right after. Maybe I didn't even need chaffs here, but since I know a lot of people learning are watching, you'll have a better chance to survive doing exactly what I'm doing now. Of course, you don't usually need to dump your speed this much. In this spot, I did it because I'm up against a Tomcat, and you only dodge the Fakur by cutting a lot of speed. With other Fox 3s, you can keep flying supersonic just fine. Now that I've done a solid defense, I'm in a great spot. I carefully start an aggressive path because a missile headed my way could be flying passive and grab a lock. So any extra caution you take still isn't enough. Check out my team's positioning and the enemy's. Here you can clearly see where the Rafale is king. We're entering that phase of the match where you fly straight, use the powerful ESA radar to detect most targets, and keep a sharp reaction for surprise attacks. It's literally hold W and delete. So let's get to work. I don't know if I can engage that F-14. The ideal move would be to head back to the airfield, but if he slips up and stays without team cover, I'll start another dogfight. So I'm going to take a safer spot and react accordingly. I'm going to throw a quick lock on him just so he sees me on the RWR. Let's see if the bait works, and he dives into a dogfight. I'll have to be a bit careful since I'm low on ammo, and I'm totally out of practice shooting with this weirdly placed Rafale cannon. Looks like that was the last bandit, so let's jump into the next game. The positioning plan this match is pretty similar to the last one, but I've got more freedom to be aggressive since I'm not facing Fakur or anything like that. So I'll push way further up, and if possible hit before the furball forms. So hang tight with the flight until the action starts. I don't know if everyone noticed, but this match was a clear loss, and my jet literally made it possible to turn it around. There's still some work to do though. I need to find a way to go rearm. This match definitely won't be like the last one where I could finish with 2 gun kills. Even with all that, it was a smooth trip back. Now it's just hunting the last 2 poor guys trying to run to the enemy airfield. Press F in chat for them, boys. We already know their fate against the Rafale. So here's my take on the Rafale right now. As a jet, it's never going to be weak, but it's also never going to be the top dog in raw performance. It'll be a nice jet for people who know what they're doing down the line. For now, it's still strong, at least for another 3 months according to the last leak list. And as long as the MICA isn't balanced, the win rate won't stop being insanely high. That's based on what I said in the intro. Either every missile is unmovable like the MICA, or the MICA gets in line with the others. That's my opinion. Now, I'll leave this last match for the observers. Watch till the end, where I'll say goodbye to you all. Alright folks, that's all for today. Hope you liked it. Do you agree or disagree with anything I said? Tell me down in the comments. Your feedback is super important to me. The video ends, but the chat stays. Karma out.